How overrated, or let's say, are we building for the functionality or are we building for the trend, or let's say just for the sake of it to, make investors happy? I think every enterprise is being sold AI agents like anything.
Yes.
So,
This is a real problem and this is a real solution without actually building the product, without actually building the solution.
like a ride, it seems like I got reminded of web series called Silicon Valley and TVF Pictures.
Rather than me going through that intuition, my AI can help me clearly segment out, create that audience for me to reach out to those audience. You validated your idea,
Right.
iterated enough at a speed at which that makes sense, and you got to a product market fit.
Definitely, I
There's
think
an easy.
user behavior has changed in the last 4-5 years.
Correct.
I mean, like
Right.
people are more open to hearing to ChatGPT and looking out for solutions with regards to Gen AI. Hey everyone, welcome back to AIgnition, and this is Varun Pandey, the host of AIgnition. This podcast is all about you, product management, and AI. Here we call best of the industry leaders to discuss about product management, AI, share their insights so that you learn from the best in the field. And today we have Mr. Sreekanth Reddy, a seasoned product leader, and a senior product manager at Adobe with 10 years of experience in building and scaling B2B SaaS products. He's currently working for AI innovation under Adobe and has been working across startup across his experience. So first of all, sir, thank you for taking out time and on a busy day. It's really great to have someone like you here with a rich experience and knowledge. How are you feeling, sir?
So thank you for having me, Varun. It's always exciting to share your experience. Right, and I've been doing this for a while now. I'm most of like an extrovert where I love talking and I get energy from talking with people. I do this on a regular basis, like more often on a weekly basis, if I can say it. Talk to different folks, try to learn from them, share what I know, and I'm glad we are able to have this conversation today.
Great, sir. Great to have you here. So, just before we start with the questions in the main podcast, just a bit about your background and your journey, what shaped you, your thoughts, and your personality till here. Anything so that our audience get to know about you.
Sure, Warren. So I started. I was doing my engineering in IIT BHU, but I was into metallurgy. But during my second year, I realized metallurgy is not my thing. That's where we started. I personally started doing some freelancing work by building some websites. That's when I got introduced to the world of coding and etc. The third year, we got connected with several seniors, alumni, and I started building games and some more automation of small tech items. But we got introduced to another senior who's already planning to start a startup, and we got together, built some no, a small tool that could automate website creation, and that we got incubated into an incubator as a startup. From third year, started working on it. After fourth year, by fourth year, we were like, we're not going to sit for placements. We're going to make the next $1 billion business, and with the dreams of unicorn, all of that. We came to Noida and took an apartment. All four of us, or five of us, we were sitting in an apartment, building the product in the morning, supporting customers as many as we can, and trying to get funding and all other opportunities out there. We struggled for 6 months, and then we got acquired by Times Internet. That's when we got incorporated as a independent business unit. Just with five of us, we scaled our business to 105 people in the next 3-4 years, 4.5 years across the India. It's into SaaS again, B2B SaaS. That's where I got introduced to the whole corporate ecosystem. Till then, it was completely new. We were building whatever we know. We hired teams, scaled teams, and then operated across 17 locations in India. It was great learning in one shot. That's when I got introduced to all different areas of the business too, not just the coding. Now you have product design, support, marketing, sales, and partnerships, right? Many other things. That's where the explosion of learning happened. What I thought is like, okay, this is great. The B2B SaaS is booming. India has some of the SaaS startups at that point, not many of them into B2B space. Then I thought, okay, we basically built a brand within the India eco market. What will it take to build a global brand into SaaS that into B2B is what I was interested in. That's when I got a common connect who introduced me to the world of marketing automation. That's what I joined as a product manager in Marketo Engage as a product, which just got acquired by Adobe. And Then I got into automatically into Adobe and been part of Market Engage from last 6 years. Now this is where I got the explosion of learning into what it what a global brand first of all looks like,
Right.
right? What an MNC looks like,
Right.
right? And what it takes for a B2B SaaS product to actually scale and do things across the regions, across the globe, catering different organizations, right from a smaller business to a much large enterprises. And that intrigued me, and how all of these folks even embracing AI as the AI coming up is where primarily it is. And right now I'm working on introducing, obviously every business is today is introducing AI agents and
Mhm.
conversational AI, Gen AI is
Right.
the new terminologies.
Right.
So yeah, right now working on one such project for Adobe.
Right. It's really like a ride. It seems like I got reminded of a web series called Silicon Valley and TVF Pictures, something of your story. Yeah, if you have seen
Yeah,
some
I've seen
like that.
seen both of them. We
Yeah.
used to relate a lot. It's like, oh, we are almost there. We are almost there.
That's really filmy, to be honest. Very like sounds like a ride, and
It
especially
is. It
for
is.
young years. So, every product manager has a journey. Specifically the one who transition into product management. There's certain moment of truth everyone has where he realizes that he or she realizes that this is what I want to do, and this is where I get the kick, right? The flow, the
Mm.
magic, right? So, what was your exact moment that the product management as a role was meant for you? And here you are after 10 years of experience, really enjoying it and actually looking
Yeah.
for.
Yeah. During the startup phases, it is really happened because while we were coding, I was coder at a heart. I was doing coding most of the time, and then had to expand to other areas because to scale the business, right? We are 4 5 of us who are trying to do most of the things.
Mm.
Um, and I really enjoyed it. Like, hey, now not just about building the solution, now able to find this problem, connecting with the customers, getting the solution actually into their hands was something I really enjoyed. But even after the startup where I wanted to get into a much larger brand to understand how things go, I first started thinking, look, I did everything, but I'm not mastering any of it. It's
Mm.
just 3 4 years out of college. It's like, okay, I've done a lot of things, but I'm not super best that I can crack the top businesses anywhere in a specific industry or a specific role. It kept me thinking, okay, now I'm more like a generalist, not a specialist anymore. So
Right.
what would be the closest role for that? Right?
Right.
And I realized, okay, product management is a specific role that is more generic and gets more closer to customer and the problem side of things, which is more what I enjoyed doing in the last 4 years at that point. So then, in fact, Warren, to tell you, after the startup, I actually applied for coding roles. That
Okay.
I cleared coding roles because all I wanted to do is get into an organization which already a bigger brand to
Right.
see how the things work there.
Right.
Right? After I got the offer, I thought probably this is not my thing. I should try for a different role.
Right.
And when I wanted to do product management, when I applied for product management roles, it was a struggle for me. Like while we, after doing all the startup, like
Mm.
learning a lot of areas, doing a lot of things by from scratch,
Right.
but product management interviews were way different than what we were executing.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
then the world of product management officially got introduced to me, where
Mm.
it is more about how do you think, how do you approach,
Is it also about being
all.
diplomatic with the answers and those part, right? I mean, like
Yeah,
although product management is also a lot about execution, but was it
yeah,
also about key I have to sound a bit diplomatic, a bit, sophisticated
uh,
with the answers and all that, right? That
yeah.
part you're talking about, right? In the interviews.
So sophisticated, more structured.
Yeah.
Uh, Out of any other word, structured would be the word I would choose for.
Hmm.
Um, we were scrappy in startup.
Right.
Had to be more structured in and when we had to approach these product management roles.
Hmm.
That's where my journey started. I spent like next 3 months just to understand this world, where I got back-to-back rejections, 3 rejections in product management role. I felt like, hey, what did I do in the last few years? Did I not learn anything or something? But then I understood like, okay, what I learned has to be present in a different way. What I know, what I can, has to be presented in a different way
Hmm.
and a much structured, much formal, and there is a different approach to everything. That's when once I got it, I think I was able to clear a lot more interviews, but I chose
And this
to
was at what
join
time,
market
sir?
engage.
Exactly what time was product management a cutout role like today, or was it like back in the days? when there was
It
nothing.
was back in 2018, 2019 times. So it's not like too back,
Yeah,
far
yeah,
back
it's
that there
picking
is
up.
not much cut. It is still there. A lot of the product management roles were primarily into the MNC businesses where it is much more well defined.
Mm,
Any mid-tier small businesses, product manager would be doing everything and anything that's possible.
mm,
But the
mm,
interviews were very different. It's like I think that more, even coders would resonate with this. Like while not many companies use data structures and algorithms,
mm,
right? But everybody asks them in the interviews.
mm,
Things it's very similar to that. I felt like okay, these guys are asking every other world case studies in my interviews, but
mm,
are they actually doing it? But later realized that's actually important to
mm,
have go through those conversations because that's what tells me how you're thinking. How would you approach if I put you in an ambiguity, right?
the problem
Um,
solving part.
yeah, rather than solving, approach,
Mm,
right? Why am I not going for solving? Is because that's what intuitively all of us think about when we see a problem. How do
mm,
we solve it?
mm,
Rather than thinking of solving it, understanding the problem is the first step, right?
right.
It's like these are all product management 101 at this point. But back then I was like, okay, when somebody asks a question, oh, best answer, best possible solution could be this. And I'm cracking that solution. That was the approach. From there to, okay, let's take a pause. Let's understand what's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And let's take a pause and understand what is he actually asking, right?
Mm, right,
Is
right.
he really asking to execute this, or is there a back objective of why they want to do this,
Like,
right?
is he really interested in the answer or just my approach or the way I think, right? That's what he.
Yeah, that too. And for
Mm,
example, if I say, hey, we are a finance tech business and we want to get to offline and open ATMs, how would you go for it, right?
mm,
Rather than trying to think how do I best introduce ATMs offline, we should
mm,
ask a question: why do we even want to introduce ATMs, right?
mm,
If it is about getting offline presence, is ATM the best path to go forward? Right?
mm,
There's a different objective behind the question that was asked, right?
mm,
That was very interesting to me. That's what I learned in these interviews,
mm.
more than anything else.
Definitely asking questions is a big part of as a role of a product manager, especially when one is new in the role, right?
Yeah,
But connecting that with what I actually am really interested in, with you being, having such a rich experience, is the frameworks part. So,
mm,
taking an AI product or let's say B2D product idea from idea to execution and then to scale is a whole different ball game, right? So
yeah,
what are the three key challenges which you feel as a senior product managers are similar across the industries? And what are your frameworks which you actually adhere to when you have to follow or let's say execute a particular thing strategy at scale?
yeah. Um, Probably I might not be the very conventional in this setup. Um, I've still since I've started with the startup, I still have the same approach, being very scrappy and doing things early, validating things early, and then iterate more. So I generally work as in like iterate fast rather than finding the right solution earliest possible, right? Um, I fortunately, when I joined Adobe as one of the businesses of Adobe, I got an opportunity to introduce new ideas. Like I was constantly pitching new ideas, and one of the idea got the attention of the leadership, and where I was given the opportunity, like, okay, the idea is great. Find out if this is even valid from your customers, right? Find out is a valid problem. Is this a need for a such solution or not? So that was the first ask for me, right? So when I have an idea, first thing is find out the easiest, quickest, and cheapest way to validate that idea. Is this even making sense? It might make sense theoretically, it might make sense logically. Is it making sense for a customer who is actually in that problem, right? So I don't know if I can call this a framework, but that's the first thing I would do. Fastest, cheapest way to validate your
Can I say something
idea.
like move fast and break things? Something what Mark
Yeah,
Zuckerberg
move.
actually calls out for,
Correct. That's like a mantra throughout the business, throughout the product cycle, not
right?
just in the beginning.
Right,
Since you asked, like, what are the challenges to start
right.
and then scale, right? To
Mm,
start, I would just focus on this:
mm,
how quickly I can validate my thesis, right? My thesis of this is a real problem and this is a real solution,
Mm,
without actually building the product, without actually building the solution, right?
mm,
Uh, so that's the first thing we start with.
mm,
Then once I got to know this is a real
mm.
problem, this is a real solution that is needed.
Right.
Okay, now is my solution is the actual right solution for this? This is where the all the fail fast thing comes into the picture. That means you'll
Right.
never get to a perfect solution
Mm,
quickly, right?
mm,
You have to come start with somewhere and then iterate and iterate and iterate and iterate to get to a state that is much more acceptable
mm,
and solving the problem to a very decent extent. That's where we call it as a product market fit, right? The
true.
solution is actually solving the problem to a decent extent that it is making sense for a wider audience.
Mm,
Okay? Uh, the struggle of product market fit is where you will start with a solution, iterate and iterate and iterate.
mm,
Um, but with AI, this is changing a lot,
mm,
right? Probably I'll just finish off reaching the product market fit and to the scale.
mm.
So you validated your idea,
Right.
then you know iterated enough at a speed at which that it makes sense,
Mm,
and you got to a product market fit
mm,
in a given duration.
mm,
Once you get it, the next step is to more of like rather than iterating on the solution, you're
mm.
growth hacking. As in like how can you get this solution to much larger audience, right?
Right.
So far
Right.
you're focused on how can you optimize the solution to address the problem.
Right.
Next is like how can you get this solution to much larger audience,
Right.
right?
Right.
There it's a different product management skill. Like
Mm,
it's more
mm.
of growth hacking, right?
Right.
It could be
Right.
through PLG, it could be through sales led, it could be marketing
Mm,
led, it could be
mm,
product led, right?
mm,
Whatever is the best for your industry and your product and your solution or for your target audience, you'll try to do that growth hacking so that you can scale this. And once you scaled it, brought it to more audiences,
mm,
then you'll have more learnings in this. Okay, now my product was able to cater to 80% of my needs to the
mm,
given audience. Now, when I increase my audience, the percentage of the solution that is addressing this problem, the percentage will reduce. Right now, you'll get to my 60%, 40, 50%. Now you have more opportunity to optimize the solution that could address the
mm,
problem much more uh, deeply, so that it makes sense for a much larger audience. So the next iteration comes there. So now you have addressed more,
mm,
then that becomes more valuable for more audiences,
mm,
and then you scale it again. Try
mm,
to do growth hacking for a different region, probably,
mm,
right?
mm,
That continues to scale from there on. So
mm.
this generally happened, and I was fortunate enough at Adobe to go through this full cycle in the last few years for
Mm.
one of the product that I worked on. But it's rapidly changing with AI. The whole approach, the framework, or the thought process, everything is completely changing.
So, one more thing, with the age of AI, we are seeing a lot of, ideas which sound cool on paper, but they're not practical when it comes to meeting, solving user needs, and
Yes.
meeting business impacts, right? So, what exactly
Yes.
are your sorts of, frameworks where you actually identify this is actually gonna, let's say, have a bigger moat, or let's say this is gonna work from the execution point of view and drive real user and business impact?
I'll tell you a very interesting trend that we were observing. With specifically into SaaS,
Hmm.
we introduced a lot of AI capabilities, but the adoption of AI capabilities always been very low because enterprises SaaS is primarily for when we think about B2B in space specifically,
Hmm.
other business users are using your business solution. AI, everybody loves it,
Hmm.
says cool, but
Hmm.
actually when it comes to use, people all struggle using it because these are business users, non-tech users, right?
Hmm.
Um, the
True.
adoption always been low. When we asked the question why, you said this is great. When we did interviews, you said this is awesome. This
Right.
actually solves your problem, but why did you not use?
Right.
Right? The answer was, hey, with the your product is always already more advanced. On top of it, you're adding much more advanced capabilities. If I
Right.
can give an analogy, I'm trying to learn how to ride the bicycle really well, and you're giving me an F1 car.
Okay.
Okay, I can never. I For me, it'll take time for me to get there. First, I have to address what I have in my hand.
Right.
Only then I can get there. Okay, that
Right.
felt like okay. Uh, if that's the case, why are they still attracted to F1 car? They should be attracted to much better bike, right?
Right.
Rather than an F1 car. But
Right.
that never worked that way. But today, with
Mm.
the invent of Gen AI, everybody is very familiar using with all the chat GPTs and Geminis
Right.
and perplexities of the world.
Right.
People are more open to use AI,
Right.
right?
Right.
Now
Definitely.
the think of it like, no, the F1 car is there, but is wrapped inside a normal car. So
Definitely, I think
there's a
user behavior has changed in the last 4 5 years.
correct,
I mean, like
right,
people are more open to, let's say, adhering to Chat GPT and looking out for solutions in regards to Gen AI, right? And
correct.
between all this, I think every enterprise is being sold AI agents like anything.
Yes,
So it's been a buzzword across the B2B especially.
correct.
So how do you
For
feel it
sure.
is like how overrated, or let's say, are we building for the functionality, or are we building for the trend, or let's say just for the sake of it, to make investors happy? Do you feel like that?
Yeah, great question again. So far, AI capabilities, if I see before, we were doing it. There was a lot of buzz before the Gen AI, also the AI first companies, right?
Right.
There was a lot of faff there saying that, okay, we have the AI, but that really doesn't do much. That happened. But with Gen AI, it was the barrier to have an AI capability is low now,
All right.
right? So when somebody is announcing that we have an AI capability, probably true. Is it useful or not useful is a secondary question. But previously, the question of like, do they really have an AI or not?
Hmm.
That question is answered. Like, because the barrier to have an AI is very low. You don't need to have a large data science team who have to unlock things for you. Even a senior developer can get you AI capabilities into your product,
Right.
right? So the businesses, if they're claiming that they have AI today, probably they have it, right?
Right.
How useful is it is a question. That's a different question that we need to answer, right?
Hmm.
But we are far ahead from where we said that this is AI first, or we have AI, but it doesn't really have AI, versus coming here where you actually have AI. Now the question is about, is it useful? Is it really solving the problem or not?
Hmm.
Um, that should be the real question.
So, for example, from the point of product discovery and scaling that particular product across the enterprises, you as a product manager would be constantly looking for inspiration with regards to what works in the B2B SaaS. So, from the idea to execution, for example, if a product is working very well, let's say at the MVP stage, or let's say you have gathered a few clients in the initially, what are your frameworks or what are your strategies which you go to take a good idea at scale?
Yeah. Ideas we never get to scale. Solutions get to scale,
Right.
right? If I can say that, right?
Mhm.
Um, Ideas get to only validations,
Right.
right? And once you execute it, the solution gets to scale, right?
Right.
The idea is like, okay, this is a current problem, and probably this is how we can solve it. Now,
Right.
is that making sense or not? The validation still remains the same, but with AI,
Mm.
the ability to create, or spin up prototypes is super easy,
Right.
right? Previously, we were only doing it with some rough wireframes or mocks, but now
Mhm.
you can create an actual prototype within a
Right.
week,
Right.
within 2 3 days, right?
Right.
And then validate that idea in much larger scale, that now I don't have to bring all customers into a specific call,
Mhm.
show them, make them use the product during the conversation,
Mhm.
versus I can create a prototype, create a URL which I can share it with a bunch of customers, and they can try it out, and I can track all of that. It's
Mhm.
much easier to validate my idea now, and now I can scale my validation,
Mhm.
right? By broadly saying that I can have an email where I wrote like, hey, here is an awesome, a cool idea I have, or we
Mhm.
have, and here is a link, try it out, tell us what you think,
Right.
right? Rather than me trying to first explain them, ask them to come
Mhm.
to a meeting,
Mhm.
and some of them will come, some of them will not come, and they have to schedule different meetings with different people at different times, and then have
Mhm.
to validate. After that, I will be able to only validate with very few set of customers. So all those barriers are over now. Now I can spin up prototypes in no time,
Right.
get this into customer hands, and then validate it further. So that really helps when you're doing the ideation and trying to validate your idea. Scale, like I said, now when you have to scale it, once the solution making sense for a few smaller set of audience, now is about finding that similar audience in a
Mhm.
given target segment, right? How do
Mhm.
you find more of them? And here AI can help you find the audience who
Mhm.
will be the similar audience. So far we were going by intuition that, okay, maybe Varun like this.
Right.
Let me think of characteristics of Varun to find out similar people.
Right.
Rather than me going through that intuition, my AI
Right.
can help me clearly segment out, create that audience for me to reach out to those audience very in a personalized way and in a more targeted way, so that I don't spam more people, but I still achieve the goals that I want to achieve at a
Right.
much faster time. So that's another thing that helped through AI. And all the things that I'm telling you are not theory at this point. These are all actual real things.
Right, sir. Uh,
Yeah.
so just a small disclaimer. If in case this meeting gets shut due to the time limit of 40 minutes, I'll regenerate the link and send to you.
Sure.
Because 10 minutes are left.
No worries.
Yeah.
No worries.
So just in case of a thing.
Mm,
So, sir, amidst all this, recently a very interesting quote by Satya Nadella came. With the advent of AI, B2B SaaS is going to be dead. So,
mm.
to what extent do you believe in this, and how do you see the future of B2B SaaS in next 10 years to come, actually?
Yeah, I'm sure these visionaries have a lot more visibility into great things that are happening across the world and revolutionary things that are happening across the world. But I think there is more context to what he meant, based on my understanding, is
Mm,
that rather than you trying to build apps, independent apps, trying to do different things,
mm,
can one conversational interface help you achieve all of them? So in a way, I can also say, so far we are learning apps, how to use
mm,
a specific app, to
mm,
apps learning you, right?
mm.
This is already
Right.
something we you see it, right?
Understood.
If you
Understood.
open Netflix, Netflix
Right. Right.
knows your viewing pattern and recommends you.
Right.
Swiggy open understands what you're ordering and then recommends you. So they're
Right.
kind of learning what you are and what you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
far, there were trainings about how do you learn implementing certain application for a business. That's what people spend a lot of time in learning those applications.
Right.
The apps will turn to be learning, hey, what is Varun want? How
Okay.
can I help Varun to achieve what he wants?
Right.
And you can simply ask the application to say, okay, I'm trying to do this. Okay, great. Here is all the steps that you need to do. Do you want me to do it or would you like to do it?
Right. Right.
Right. So the apps are learning you more and more, that it becomes more and more personalized. Now, later, you don't have to even explain saying that I need A, B, C. When you say A, it automatically understands what it
Mm.
actually means ABC.
That's interesting.
Right.
So we won't be needing any let's say client review meetings or let's say client interactions to say,
Yeah.
right? Because the algorithm will pick up it up already and will work on it accordingly, right?
Or else, in a way, you can say the learning curve of any. So you know the learning curves, right? So when
Right.
when you build an application, a
Mm.
customer has to understand how to use that application
Right. Right.
to achieve whatever they're trying to achieve.
Mm.
Now, that learning curve is almost getting to the minimal
Mm.
value possible, where
Mm.
you don't have to learn how to use it. You
Right.
just have to come and say what you want to do, and
Right.
it will help you to whatever that objective is.
Right.
So
Right.
that's what getting eliminated.
Right, right. Yeah, Shrikant, can you explain it in a very simple term in terms of any B2B SaaS software we daily use, for example, Jira or Slack? I mean,
Hmm.
like, can it eat that up also in the coming time, or is it some kind of an overstatement to say that? Or let's say any
The
other daily use B2B SaaS, which you feel.
Yeah, yeah. So these, I mean, Slack and all these are more like a coordination, uh, right,
Mm.
collaboration tools. You're
Mm.
collaborating with other human, so
Right.
it's not much.
Yeah.
Application is specifically learning or trying to do. For example, if you're automating your marketing campaigns, right?
Mm.
Uh, right, you're trying to send. I
Mm.
want to show. Okay, I want to scale Warren Pandey's Ignition's podcast. Right, what do? You run YouTube ads, you
Mm.
run Instagram ads, and you create different kind of content for different things. What if Warren just comes to this platform, like there is some automated platform
Mm.
where it comes says, "Hey, I am Varun. I have this podcast. I want to scale this to this type of audience.
Mm.
Can you just help me?"
Mm.
Right? It says, "Okay, great. Can you give me some examples of the podcast that you've already done?"
Right.
Right? You have given a couple of links. Okay, great. Now
Mm.
I understood what are the type of the content that you create,
Mm.
and I also got some images of you. Now I can all I need to create is different kinds of copies for your Facebook, for your Instagram, for your LinkedIn, for your YouTube, and
Mm.
it creates all that content, and it says, uh, here is the type of audience you should target so that you can maximize your viewership based on your content.
Mm.
Are you okay with it? I said, okay,
Mm.
perfect. Then
Mm.
it can generate that or curate that audience criteria for
Mm.
Instagram, for LinkedIn, and then also push them to that applications and run and execute the ad itself. Now you did not try to learn where do I go to
Right.
start and create a
Understood.
campaign. You did not go on where I said, like, how do I create my image? How do I create my video? How do I create my description? How do I find whom I should target? All
Mm,
of that learning went away, right? It
mm,
identified things for you, it did things for you, and you can confirm if that's what you're looking for. Now imagine a world with this plus the prediction of the outcome upfront, that you have created all this and it also says this is the outcome you can expect,
right.
that right,
Okay.
it's going to reach 10,000
Right,
people
right, right, right,
by
right.
doing all these campaigns.
Right,
Now
right,
Warren will be like, no, 10,000 seems small. How do I reach a million people? So it
right,
automatically scaled everything to a million people, and you almost know for a higher with a high certainty that this is the outcome.
right. I see a very big marketing software losing a lot of its customers soon, I guess, which starts with H. But
I'm sure
yeah,
they are also
yeah, yeah,
innovating well.
definitely they need to pick up because I feel that this is what is going to be in next 5 to 10 years. Then it's a big risk for
Yeah.
them. Big,
It's
big.
true for every SaaS tool, if you ask me, unless the tool is solving the collaboration. Collaboration also gets
Mm,
simplified. Uh, but if it is a tool that you are trying to achieve a task, now the task itself gets automated. All you need to do is what your needs are.
right. So a lot of happening in AI, B2B SaaS, B2C.
Yeah.
So a lot of us folks who are in conventional like product management are very much willing to transition into AI product management. Let's say the ones who aspire to be in this field actually directly want to start out in a AI startup as a AI product manager. So you as a seasoned product leader, what would your advice be sitting at your level and looking at us folks from down there? Let's say what would you would have done? Let's say three
Yeah.
practical steps you would have done if you would have to be a AI product management today, starting from today.
Yeah. A classic product management answer would be it depends. But I'll give you.
Let me get back to you.
uh, yeah. Yes. But what really today, when I see things, if you are somebody who's completely from a different role
Yeah.
that is nowhere close to tech or nowhere close to product management, versus somebody who's already into the tech or tech roles or very similar IT roles, now you're getting into product management. Now
Mm,
the path would be a little different.
right.
But uh, baseline foundational layers, if you ask me,
Mm,
if I have to hire Varun as a product manager, what is that I would like to know, right? Right.
mm,
One, does he understand this space, right?
mm,
I'm trying to look for relevancy, right?
mm,
Relevancy in terms of your knowledge, relevancy in terms of your work.
mm,
How much of relevant work or knowledge this person has? How much of that relevant, when I say relevant to the role that I'm hiring? When I say role, it could be product management role, but product management for a certain industry, product management for a certain business, right? How
mm,
much of that relevancy is there? If that's there, awesome. If there is no relevant work, then I need to understand at least do you have the skill,
mm,
relevant skill. Of
mm,
course, work trumps the skill because work automatically shows that you have the skill, right?
mm, mm,
If you do not have the because if you are coming from a different domain, you don't have the previous experience, so you don't have the work proof, right?
mm,
Now, work proof can be something that you have already worked on
mm,
as like some product manager as another company, or
mm,
else the work could be what are the portfolio things that you have created. Like
right.
you yourself took some projects and then went through or did some case studies, did some digging, did some research, did some solutioning, and you created different kinds of solutions or approaches for different problems, and you have created that
Mm,
as a portfolio.
mm,
So you have some relevant work. If you have relevant work, that's what I'm interested to learn. If you don't
mm,
have, then I'm interested to learn the relevant skill. Do you have the relevant skill? Yeah.
mm,
If I have to start product management journey today, I would focus on doing these two things. How can I improve my relevant skill? How do I create relevant work wherever I'm applying for? The interview conversation can only happen in two ways.
right.
One, what you did, let me understand if I'm
Mm,
the person taking the interview, or
mm,
else let me try to understand if you know what I need.
right.
Correct? These are
Mm,
the only two ways the conversations can go.
right.
The more the conversation is about that what you did, you
Mm-hmm.
have an advantage.
Okay.
Versus what I need, I have an
Mm,
advantage because when I'm talking about what I need,
right.
I'm trying to match your knowledge with my knowledge.
Mm,
Right? It's an expectation of you will say something in lines of what I know, right?
right.
Or else beyond it. right? Then
Mm.
the probability of you knowing answer to those questions are difficult when it
Right.
comes to interviews in general, right? Now, how do I make sure the conversation is more about what I did rather than what he needs? That
Mm.
can only happen
Mm.
whatever I did is of interest for that interviewer. How do I make that of their interest?
Mm.
It will be only of their interest if I either did something drastic, dramatic,
Mm.
right, that is super interesting, or else it is relevant for them
Mm.
if I'm the person who's giving the interview, right?
Right.
And if I expect that person to ask me about what I did,
Mm.
that can only happen in these two things. Like either I did something very drastic that it is straight coming out
Right.
in my resume or my profile, or else it is very relevant for them. They're interested to know what you did in that space. Right?
Right.
If that's the case, now we understood that how do I make my interview conversation more about what I did? I
Mm.
can only do it if I have something in my profile that is
Mm.
of that person's interest.
Mm.
Why will that person be interested about it? It has to be relevant to whatever that role they are
Right.
hiring for. Now, how do I create relevant work? I might not be in the same domain. I might not be in the same industry. I might completely, I haven't worked ever, right? If I'm a
Mm.
fresher, it's
Mm.
also be possible, right? How do I create relevant work? Relevant work can be possible in two ways. One, you have some work experience, and then you highlight those areas which are relevant here. That
Mm.
makes that work also relevant, right?
Mm.
Or else, I create or start doing things or take project myself,
Mm.
um, you know start doing for specifically for product management. It's about case studies or trying to solve business case studies, right? If
Mm.
I myself took business problems, try
Mm.
to do the research and solve it, and I created a portfolio of things,
Right.
a portfolio of case studies or business case studies, business problems I have picked, identified,
Mm.
did research, and came up with a solution, did some wireframing and all of that. If I do a lot of them, that
Mm.
also creates like a portfolio. Now, out of all this work, what is relevant for this guy? This
Mm.
role is where
Mm.
I can highlight in my profile, right?
Mm.
Then in your introduction itself, you can highlight that I did so and so so far, and
Mm.
I was very interested and intrigued about this problem that is relevant for your space. Now, other person you gave me a hint that okay,
Mm.
there's something that you did that's very relevant to them. That means you know how this industry works at least to a decent extent. And if you can defend that
Right.
conversation, that easily gives an impression that this guy knows stuff,
Right.
right?
Mm.
That's one thing, right?
Mm.
Second, this is all into how do you prepare and plan yourself to get into product management, right?
Right.
Second way of creating this relevant work is about if you can shadow existing product managers and do
Mm.
and get a practical learning, right?
Mm.
And it's best if you can find somebody within your organization, because then there is no confidentiality problems that I cannot share certain work, can share certain worker information,
Mm. Mm.
right? If I can just request some of the product manager
Mm.
within your company who's already doing the work, I
Mm.
just want to be an assistant for you. You don't have to worry about teaching or anything. You don't have to spend a lot of time to me.
True.
Give me
True.
all the irritating work that you have. I'm happy to do it.
Mm.
It might be stupid work for him, but it gives you much, much more learning for you. And if you can piggyback on that opportunity,
Mm.
right, do that shadowing,
Mm.
try to attend meetings where you just be a fly on the wall, absorb everything, and see the cycle of how an idea is actually getting into a solution and getting into customer hands. If you see
Mm.
that cycle a couple of times, you
Mm.
get a much, much richer experience. So that's a second.
Mm.
Right? While theories are all great, this gives the most practical knowledge.
Right.
A third aspect is working on the soft skills, right?
Mm.
How do you present in a much structured manner? Don't worry about are you presenting the best outcome or not. You're
Mm.
just presenting the best thing that you already know. You are in a calm state,
Right.
comfortable state. You're not in a hurry. You're not in any tensions in your mind. How do
Mm.
you present yourself really well, right?
Mm.
And then how the story art of storytelling, right, that comes here,
Mm.
right? If
Right.
because you're telling about yourself, right?
Right.
At least there has to be some. You should be at least interested in your story,
Right.
right?
Right.
If you can tell your story in an interesting way, and which at least you are feeling interested, that enthusiasm, excitement definitely gets transferred to the other person, right?
Right.
The other person will see, okay, this guy actually tried doing something. And not everything will work out, but at least I know this person has tried a lot of things and was very interested and keen to work and do more, right?
Right.
So I would do it in these three ways: create relevant work, shadow somebody, then improve on soft skills.
That's really a very curated answer. I think based on your experience, that's really helpful. for the ones
Yeah.
who are
This is a
aspiring.
common question generally we get as I interact with anybody who's an aspirant of product management, and there's an expectation. I'll say that you do ABC course,
Mm,
then write your resume like this, and then you apply for these companies. But
true.
I feel more than that, if you try this non-conventional method, will
Mm,
actually get you the confidence that you actually know stuff.
right.
Right. And you have the confidence, you'll crack it. First interview might not be yours, second might not be yours, 21st interview will be yours. You have to be patient and be at it. But when you crack it, you'll do really well at it.
Mm.
Right now, you don't have
And
to
I
worry
guess
about now I
they
got the
also
job.
might be needing your tips on how to face the imposter syndrome for the first 3 months when you're into the role. So that's
Yeah,
one of the toughest phases for any product manager at any level, right? Even you as a
yeah,
chief product manager will
yeah.
be sometimes feeling it or going through it.
I found a hack for it. Right. Uh, Generally, what you say is like when you get into your product management role, they ask you to go into whatever the product is, try to learn the product, use and learn the product, right?
Right.
Uh, so that you are familiar with the product, what it is, and how what it does, and etc.
Mm,
Rather than that,
mm,
try to directly connect with the customers and see
mm,
what they're trying to do with the product. Rather than trying to learn the product, learn the customer what they're trying to do. Right?
mm.
That gives much stronger confidence,
So
saying that
Sreekanth,
okay,
in
this
B2B
is the
context,
problem.
does that mean you need to shadow more and more client calls? Does that mean in that? Because in B2C, it's relatively easy. You can open up the app or go talk with the customer success team and all that. But in B2B
It's the same.
context, huh.
It's very similar. We
Mm,
directly reach out to these customers. There are generally some community forums or these customer services,
right,
customer account managers. Like in B2B, there are specifically account managers, right?
right,
You
right.
can ask them to get yourself into those calls,
True, true.
and you can get them. And in fact, I myself, when I started into this product role at Adobe, all the first 2 months, all I did was try to connect with customers in one-on-ones
Mm,
and say that new to this product. I'm very curious how you use this product. Can you tell me? And
right, right.
customers are very supportive in general, that to tell you that what they're using for and why they're using for. They don't tell you features. They tell you actual
Both the
problem that
problems.
they're trying to solve, the need that they have, and how they're solving that need.
Right, right.
Within that, you'll not just get the insights of how great the product is, but
Mm,
also what are the pitfalls or gaps that are present in the current solution.
mm,
Getting that insight gets you that instinct, right, about what is good, what is bad, what is right,
mm,
all of that stuff. Then try to learn the product. Then it's
mm,
much easier. Now you have
mm,
a customer lens
mm.
to view at your product, and it's much easier.
In fact, a lot of
I
times
spent
I found beautiful insights from the ops team, from the account managers, which maybe, a seasoned product manager at the company would not be having because they're in
absolutely.
direct touch with the customer. So they really hear that they face the brunt daily.
Yeah.
So they know what
Yes.
exactly we need to work on and they'll be more than
Correct.
happy. They'll be like, listen, this, we
Correct.
also want this and this
Mm.
and this. This is how we can make it
Yes.
better and all that. So that's very, heartwarming to listen to actually as a product
Yeah.
manager. Right.
Correct. That worked out really well.
Yes, sir. Lastly, sir, thanks a lot for your time. And
Absolutely, Varun.
really a pleasure listening to you actually, the way you decoded and, all the answers and all the questions from a layman's point of view and someone who's aspiring to be a product manager. That's really heartful. Looking forward to more such sessions with you in future.
Thank you so much, Varun. Very pleasure to be here.
Sure,
Looking forward to stay in connect.
sure, sir.
Thanks.
Surely, sir.